Hello, everyone. It's really my great pleasure to attend NACIS. Although I graduated from Wisconsin, and I had a lot of work in cartography using AI, but actually it's my first time to attend the NACIS and to meet with you guys. Today, my presentation is entitled The Ethics of AI-Generated Maps, a study of DALL-E 2 and cartography. I define myself as an AI, artificial intelligence guy. I conduct research in human-centered geospatial data science, focusing on two aspects: understand human experience, such as perceptions, emotions, cognitions at place. And also, I'm a cartographer. This conference, I saw a lot of wonderful and very beautiful maps. So they all encode cartographers' creativity. So is it possible that we use big data, artificial intelligence, to understand human creativity? And the second mission is to develop trustworthy and ethical GI science technology, such as to observe and mitigate bias, protect human geoprivacy, and build explainable GeoAI. Today, my presentation is also fit in this computational framework. I will start from the two aspects: understand human creativity, and to tackle the observe the ethical concerns in artificial intelligence for creating maps. As you know, that in the past, I think 1 year, ChatGPT or generative AI is attracting a lot of more attention. So how many of you have tried ChatGPT? If you tried, raise your hand. Okay. Yeah, for me, as an AI guy, I cannot leave this every day. I have already subscribed the Plus membership. I cannot leave this now. As you can see, in addition to ChatGPT, there are some other software and AI approaches developed by other companies, such as Google Bard, Cloud, open source, Cloudy, etc. So we can now communicate with people. For example, I ask, what is cartographer? What is cartography for ChatGPT? You can evaluate whether it is good or not. And in addition to ChatGPT, so this is like text to text, which means you can input text, and the AI will respond to you for text. There are some other software that can generate images based on the text. Like that is the text to image. There are some software such as DALL-E 2, also created by OpenAI, which released the ChatGPT. And there are some commercial ones, such as Stable Diffusion or Midjourney. Yeah, Midjourney is commercial one, and Stable Diffusion is also an open source one. And we can ask this software to generate some maps. As you can see, this is one map generated by this text-to-image approaches. But although they show some promise in generating maps, there are some ethical concerns on generative AI. They raise critical questions about the future of labor, trust, and the consequences of unbridled technology development. Will AI replace designers or even cartographers in the future? And how can teachers, like cartographers, if I teach a cartography course, know a map is created by students or it is generated by AI? And also, can people trust the content generated by AI models? For example, here I asked ChatGPT to generate some literature reviews, and it indeed generates some references. But actually, these are all fake references. So can we trust the content generated by these approaches? So in this study, I would like to, I made an explorative study to try to figure out the following two questions. What potential ethical concerns arise from the characteristics of maps generated by DALL-E 2? And how can AI-generated maps be identified as an initial step towards minimizing their potential ethical concerns? So for the first one, I need to give a little bit introduction of DALL-E 2. It is a commercial English-based text-to-image model provided by OpenAI, released in 2022. And it can translate natural language text descriptions to photorealistic images using neural networks. And on the right, I show two images that using DALL-E 2 based on the prompt, an astronaut riding a horse in photorealistic style. on the official website of DALL-E 2. Then, as cartographers and geographers, so can generative AI create maps? Can we use generative AI to facilitate the map-making process? The answer is yes. Yeah. On the right, I show some examples that generated by DALL-E 2. As you can see, we generated a series of maps, AI-generated maps, at different scales, such as state level, country level, continent level. And we also play with the prompts and to ask it to generate like just general maps, and to encode some thematic patterns for certain positions or textures, and to generate different types of maps. As you can see, the DALL-E 2 indeed generates some maps. Looks good, yeah, I have to say, to a certain degree, okay? So to generate this, you can also play with DALL-E 2. Like you can follow the prompt. Our prompt is a map type of region on place with description, such as a reference map, a choroplast map of like the United States or of Pittsburgh or Philadelphia in America. And the place means like on the table or it's on the screen or on the wall, etc. And the description refers to some visual variables, such as a bright color, the cold color, metallic color, etc. So you can play with this with different parameters. And DALL-E 2 indeed generates some maps. But in a previous review that I was writing, we actually reviewed all the applications of AI for cartography, and we summarized the recent progress in artificial intelligence for mapping. But we found that ethics of AI for cartography is underdeveloped. So I also want to echo again our topic of this paper. Can we observe those ethical concerns in AI-generated maps? So here we summarize 4 types of ethical concerns of AI-generated maps, including the inaccuracies, misleading information, unanticipated features, and irreproducibility. Okay. The first one, inaccuracies, is as you can see here, I show some examples. The first one is unclear borderlines, such as it shows California, but the borderlines is distorted between different counties. Second one refers to inconsistent shapes, like a map of Washington state is distorted while preserving the patterns of the state. And the next one is truncated content, because currently, like the DALL-E 2 can only generate images in square. So when we ask it to generate some United States maps, it only shows part of the United States rather than the whole country. So that's for the inaccuracies. The second one is more funny, because DALL-E 2 can generate some misleading information, such as pseudo words. Here I show some 2 maps of California. They look similar to California and Alaska, but there are still some incorrect spelled names. And the next one is it may generate some fake regions. The third figure is Michigan, but it generates with non-existent areas of land to its east. And the last one is a map of Japan with non-existent lands to its west. I don't know what is that land, okay. The next category refers to the unanticipated features, such as jumbo lines. The first figure shows City of New York road network with some jumbo lines. And the second one is it may misunderstand the meanings of those prompts. For example, it generates lava-style maps, although the prompt is a heat map of California. But obviously, the AI misunderstood the meaning of heat map. And it may generate some geopolitical identities, such as this map. We just asked a physical map of North Korea on the pavement. But as you can see, it generates the North Korea with North Korea's national flag on it. So that means AI may generate some unanticipated features in addition to the prompts that we give it to the AI. And the last but not least refers to the irreproducibility. It also brings some concerns and challenges for the trust of maps because we cannot produce the same maps. As you can see, all 4 maps follow the prompt, a chloroplast map of Wisconsin, but they all have different styles, right? And it is impossible to access DALL-E 2's hyperparameters or seed at this moment, so which means you cannot reproduce the same map, even use the same parameters. So that's for the first question. We summarized 4 different types of ethical concerns that might be generated from DALL-E 2. Then the next question is, how can AI-generated maps be identified as an initial step towards minimizing their potential ethical concerns? Is there any potential solutions that we can help to mitigate or at least observe the ethical concerns? Yeah, despite that generative AI might be utilized to facilitate the map-making process, it may generate some unethical maps with inaccurate and misleading information. So here, we propose a computational framework that we develop the AI-generated map detector to identify maps, whether it is generated by AI or it is designed by human. So to do so, we created 2 data sets. The first one is the AI-generated data set that we created a data set generated by DALL-E 2, including over 4,000 images, maps. And it is publicly available, so if you are interested in this, you can also play with our data set. And in addition to this, we also created another human-designed data set collected from Google Images. Like we search for certain keywords, like the chloroplast map of United States, and we download those map images. And an existing data set released by a previous study. So as you can see here, I provide some statistics of the human-designed data sets. To have a better understanding of our data set, I show some samples of the human design maps. So as you can see, it's at different levels, such as states, country, and continent level. So these are all human design maps. And we combine this with the maps generated by DALL-E 2, and then develop another AI-generated map detector using deep learning neural network, ResNet, to learn from the images and to detect whether a map is generated by AI or it is generated by human. And as you can see, the results show that the system is relatively robust, as we have over 90% accuracy, which means given an image, given a map, this system can identify whether it is generated by AI or it is generated by human. So it is robust and effective in distinguishing between AI-generated maps and human-designed maps. So this is just a first step. We can first identify whether it is a map generated by AI or by human. The next step is we hope that we can develop another AI to specifically identify those different topics, different types of ethical concerns that exist in maps. So here I summarize some other implications. First, AI-generated maps may lead to the spread of misinformation on the social media and even corrupt future cartography education. And our AI-generated map detector may help to prevent such cases. Although there is still a long path to move forward, we hope to develop more advanced approaches, but they all follow this framework. We hope to develop another AI detector to examine those ethical concerns exist in AI-generated maps. The second question is more interesting, related to commodification and copyright. So how to protect the cartographers' ownerships to their maps, which could be used in training process of the generative AI models. Because like the large language models such as DALL-E 2, they can generate these maps because like you provide your maps in social medias, in the website. So how can we protect the cartographer's ownership and copyright of your maps? And here I also list two other directions in the future studies. First, the future studies could incorporate additional text-to-image AI models to compare the maps generated by different models, such as Stable Diffusion and Midjourney. On the left, those 4 maps were generated by Midjourney, which was fabulous. But Midjourney is very expensive. We cannot afford the Midjourney. So that's why we only choose DALL-E 2 to generate maps in this study. And the second direction is, I will also briefly introduce that again in the later, that we need to develop guidelines of ethics for AI in future cartography, especially given the fact that ethics of AI for cartography is underdeveloped. Okay, so that's pretty much for this study. But as I previously mentioned, that I and my co-authors, Professor Song Gao and Professor Roth, we were also working on a review paper, summarized over 100 papers about artificial intelligence studies in cartography, which we hope it can be published by this year. We summarized the methods, applications, and ethics of AI in cartography. So here on the right, I provide the conceptual framework. And as you can see, AI can be used to support different applications and different cartographic design decisions, such as generalization, which over 30 papers that developed AI for map generalization, and symbolization, such as visual variables, map style transfer, typography, such as label placement, map reading, such as to identify those objects from maps, map interpretation, such as the content inference and feature alignment, and map analysis, map type classification, and finally map production, such as how to prepare data sets that can be trained in AI models for cartography. In particularly, I would like to highlight one thing, is that based on our review, we found that AI for artistic and creative cartographic design decisions still receive relatively less attention. For example, here I show another one of my previous work that developed an AI approach for map style transfer, which refers to the process of reproducing artistic styles from existing maps, paintings, or other visual artwork to new input map data. For example, on the left, we have simple style maps, in other words, maps without styles. And then on the right, we have the target style maps, such as Google style maps or OpenStreetMap maps, those map styles. And we hope to transfer the Google style maps to those maps without styles, and we generate the transfer styled maps. So this is one cartographic design decision that we have used AI to do so. But we also find that the artistic and creative cartographic design decisions, such as symbolization and typography, have received relatively less attention. And the limited studies on these design topics have a relatively narrow focus. And in the future, maybe AI can better facilitate designers and cartographers in the artistic and creativity of maps. And as I previously mentioned, that in AI for cartography studies, the ethics in AI for cartography remains underdeveloped. So we also summarize 5 aspects. And we propose some interesting questions that we encourage you to think about as well, such as commodification, who owns the copyright of the transferred map style, responsibility, such as how much should we trust a machine-generated maps. I'm looking forward to more presentations after my presentation in this session. And geoprivacy, how do we prevent GeoAI from revealing private locational information in making maps? And bias, because GeoAI models may amplify existing bias in maps when learning from certain data during training and then applying biased patterns to output cartographic products. So AI models may further amplify the bias in maps. Finally, refers to the transparency, explainability, and provenance. It is necessary and crucial to make AI models transparent and explainable, needs the ability to track GLAI choices while the model is running so that we can understand how AI make decisions while making maps. Okay, so that's pretty much for my research. And finally, I'm an assistant professor now at the University of South Carolina, and I conduct research about cartography plus AI, focusing on two aspects: understand human creativity of creating maps and develop geospatial artificial intelligence considering ethical concerns. And now I look forward to recruit potential students, PhD students, if you have interest, and I hope to collaborate and discuss with you, with cartographers and industry partners to see if there are any potential collaborations using AI for making maps. And feel free to contact me, so I provide my email and my website. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
We do have time for a couple questions.
Yes. So recently, OpenAI announced several big news. First, you can insert images in ChatGPT to have different approach from image to text. Second, they are combining the ChatGPT and DALL together and to do announce the release of DALL 3. So how does that combination of different approaches going to impact the generation of AI maps and also the ethical concerns?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So he asked me, what if we have more advanced approaches, AI approaches such as DALL 3, it has more better understanding of maps. So how can we deal with this? So here, as you can see, I not only focus on specific approaches, specific models, but I propose a conceptual framework. If you follow this framework, so we can, in the future, we can leverage the advancement in AI to develop better software or better system to detect the ethical concerns that may arise from the AI-generated maps. So in other words, so in the future, we need to focus more on the ethical concerns that may potentially generated from those AI-generated maps, and we can use more advanced models following that framework to help to mitigate and at least observe those ethical concerns that exist in AI-generated maps. Yeah, question?
Hi, thank you so much. Super interesting. One of the things that I've been hearing a lot about in terms of generative AI is distinguishing it as generative. It's good at making things, but it's less good at information retrieval. And I absolutely get that those two kind of blur, especially using models that are developed for maybe art that's less mappy at first. But I'm wondering if you tried giving the programs you use data and if that changed the inaccuracies.
Oh, that's a very good question. So you mentioned the generative AI is more focusing on generate something that may not exist, but not focusing on the information retrieval. Yeah, so my thinking is that I think in the future when we develop those generative AI approaches, especially focusing on cartography, we need to keep human in the loop. So the AI may not generate the cartographic knowledge or follow the cartographic principles, but for us as cartographers, we should try to encode and incorporate our cartographic principles, cartographic knowledge into the development of those AI-generated maps or those generative AI approaches. So I think by doing so, then the AI may have more knowledge about cartography. So we can develop domain-specific generative AI for cartography. By doing so, that it can not only generate something, but can also have the understanding of cartography. Yeah. Any more questions?
If anybody has any more questions, please find Yuhao. There's his website that I have to move on. That was very fascinating. Thank you so much.
Thank you.